I'm sitting here in the question, what is a healthy perspective for we as individuals with mental emotional disease to make sense of it? What are some good thoughts? And let's develop some of those together. So the first thing I think that's important to realize is this disease is not ours. It's not who we are, and we didn't cause it. As a result of being born at this moment in time, we are taking on the mantle, the social mantle, the family mantle, the cultural mantle, positive and negative. We're taking that on, and it's being given to us. Now, depending on who we are, for example, we are each born with a different sensitivity threshold. And some cultures are more sensitive than others. The more insensitive a culture and the more sensitive a person, when those intersect, the more pain there is for the person, not the culture, for the person. And as such, the more pain one is in, the more vulnerable one is to taking on the negative aspects or diseases of the culture. So this is one thing to sit with. The disease, the pain, the suffering that we inherit is not ours. Who we are is someone that by the time we become conscious is conditioned with that, and we have a certain window of space between stimulus and our reaction to that stimulus, in which we can inject our consciousness to make a choice to edit the program. So we may have been hit and hurt constantly, and yet a lot of the time when we have that reaction where we're touched in a certain way and we want to hit something or someone, there's a space, and that space determines how much our presence can come into the program that is not ours, and say, maybe there's another way to process that energy, or I seem to hit people every time this happens. Maybe there's a way I can restructure the environment so that I'm not getting overloaded. So it's our consciousness that interrupts the cycle of trauma, of abuse, of disease, if we are fortunate enough to be conscious that we're conscious and have some sense of who we are. And one of the biggest tragedies that can happen when abuse happens to the very young and innocent is that when abuse is packed in before there's rational thought, and we're terrorized, and the pattern, the template of relating is one of violence and abuse, we are empathic creatures, and we learn language, the language of action and interaction from one another. And so, as happened with my siblings, when I was hurt and abused and abandoned from my parents, one of my first conscious awarenesses was tormenting my little 2-year-old sister when I was like 5 years old. And so I got to know myself as a tormentor. Like, that's me. But that's not me. That's the unfortunate tragedy of having abuse happen so young that what feels natural is to abuse as soon as the differential of power is reversed. In other words, if you've got 25-foot giants who are doing this to you, and then suddenly you're bigger than someone else, the pattern you've learned is to do that to them. But it's not who we are. And as I got to around age 10, I could start saying, I don't like being this person. I don't want to be this way. It's very hard to stop being this way in this environment, but I can start putting up walls and break the environment. So in this way, we are neither truly victims or perpetrators. We are the consciousness that's coming in to a destructive cycle and softening and opening it and bringing more of the light that we are into the space so that that pattern can heal. And that's who we are. We are the innocent consciousness that's coming through and looking to find who we are in all of these programs and patterns, etc. So I think this is a healthy perspective. Secondly, I think it's important to look at health as joy, love, presence, generosity, stuff that's fun. And I say this because as human beings reach a point of skill and mastery where we truly can feed everyone, be kind to one another, on a technological level, there is enough space, resources to bring well-being to everyone, and we're kind of at the cusp of that. The question then becomes, what's the most fun? Is it more fun to have a lot more than others and look down at them? Is it more fun to have the divide grow bigger and bigger and be afraid of the judgments and stuff of those who are less fortunate? Or is it more fun to co-create and play and work to help one another grow together? Which is more fun? And I know for myself, and I believe it's human nature, it's a lot more fun to share. It's a lot more fun to give, not when there's scarcity, like there's not enough for me. No, of course there's no fun. But when there's enough, it becomes more fun to help, to share, to give, and there truly can be enough. And it's even, I want to also share a little bit where some of that bottleneck is tied up. For example, where I am in the Philippines, there is an enormous amount of money spent on security because so little care is given for the poorest of the poor that they're very angry. And so more and more money gets spent on security to control the rage of this ignored and neglected segment of the population rather than being spent to help them. In the United States, where we have 5% of our population in jail at $80,000 a year, of course there's no money. If you've got 5% of the population at $80,000 in jail, there's no money for therapy, there's no money for emotional education, blah, 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 blah. Of course there's money. It's just spending that money on prevention and care. And instantly, if you gave a $30,000 therapy budget and focused on retraining these people and understanding, like I've watched some of the documentaries of people on death row, they are trauma survivors, profoundly difficult early childhood situations that predispose them towards violence that they've received and sociopathic behavior. They need healing. They need care, which can be provided for much less than $80,000 a year. So there is enough money, and it's more fun. I mean, who wants to be a warden in a prison when you could be someone helping someone rewrite their childhood? Who wants to be, judging and condemning adult victims of child abuse? It's just not fun to be cruel. It's fun to be cruel when what you know is powerless and an abuse at such an intense level that you got panic. And when you do it to someone else, you feel relief because it's not you. It's more fun than it is to just be alone in that. But it's not fun compared to helping one another, playing, and so many other things around sharing and growing together. That's more fun. It's more safe. It's more fun. I look at the level of fear that's in the United States because just about everyone, like even if I've got $80,000 in the bank, I'm just a few months away and a few accidents away from being broken on the street. I can't live on the disability benefits if I get disabled. There's not going to be a care for my emotional well-being and what I need to cope with PTSD sounds. There's just no care there. So it's terrifying, even with an abundance. But what if, as a culture, when I'm in Denmark, there's complete relaxation because there's real care and there's so many safety nets there that people actually do the opposite of laze around and milk the system. They go for their dreams, knowing that if they make a mistake and they fall, they've got safety nets there to catch them so they can give their ideal career and their re-education, etc., their all. They don't have to kind of wait, what if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? Which is what you have when there's no safety nets. It's all very scary. So I think this is also an important sense to know what we're going towards. What is health? Generosity, vitality, joy, kindness, forgiveness, and understanding for all the pain that other people go through as well. Healing and helping. This is a healthy state. This is who we are as human beings. It's fun, it's normal, it's as natural as day when it isn't interrupted with abuse. So it is interrupted, and we lose some of that, and health is coming back to that. So what's a healthy thing to do? Anything that helps us go back to that sustainably. Now, we do have a need for control and care and security and not being shocked and overwhelmed. So it's important that we can do things that give us a reasonable sense of security as we go back, that we're safe, that we're stable. There's also something. Anything that can be done to prevent trauma and disease from starting is a gift to others and incredibly valuable. As individuals, the most valuable gift we can give to others, particularly when we're sick, is to participate in our own health, to help others help us, to avail ourselves of any resources available of that so that we don't pass it on. As sick people who are not getting help or support that we need, being visible in ways that do not trigger us to get more abuse, but that let other people know, hey, there's a problem. There is a problem and people need to know. And so when we're sick, the message is there's a sick virus going around. We've caught it. Do something about it. If you don't, you may catch it as well. If not you, your children, your lover, your friend. It's in no one's interest for this disease to go unnoticed, untreated, uncared for. It is in no one's interest. Now, unfortunately, tax law and all that does not always align in this way. Like you can make a tax investment in company growth that's tax deferred, but you can't treat your PTSD. It's really, that's not healthy. It's not conducive to optimal well-being. Any investment in yourself is, in this health area, is a gift to others. So it's really important to notice that and know that. And what else? Well, that's kind of, I think, some of the most important frameworks and perspective around thinking about dis-ease. And thanks for watching.